Okay, so let's just go on with the slide for the chapter 3 loop and the selection statement. Okay, and do you have any question for this class? Let me know. Any question? No? So in the chapter 3, we work with the loop and the selection statement. Right? We did something with that. In the selection, you have the single alternative or dual alternative, right? If or if else statement. And for every selection, you always have the condition here to check. And the output of the condition is only true or false. Right? So basically, for the single alternative, if the true, you do something, and if not, you just skip it. Right? And for the dual alternative, you have the condition to check. If true, you do something, and if you have false, you have other something to do. And remember that the output of the condition is only true or false. It's a Boolean value. Right? So you can use a comparison operator, or equal, not equal, right? Less than, greater than, less than or equal, or greater than or equal. Okay, so we have some of the specific example. Also, we have the multi-way if statement, right? So in some case, you have more than one selection here. So think about you want to get the numeric grade, and you want to sort it into the letter grade for this one here. So basically, for the multi-way statement, you have two ways to do that. You have the long way. You have the long way to do this one here, right? And if and if and if and if and so on here. And you know that for this one, you have problem that whenever you got any grade, you only have to check for every selection, right? You only have to check for every condition here. That is very, very long way, really, and slow down the processing time. So it should be better. We work with a multi-way if statement. We work with a nested. That means you put the condition inside another condition. So see, you have this one condition here inside this condition and inside this condition. So think about if you have the number. Think about this one. If you have the number, the 95 of this one here. If you got the number from the 95, from the end user, right? From 95, so you check the condition here, and it's correct, right? You give the letter A, and you exit the selection process. You do not have to do anything with the remaining one here. So it increases the processing time for this one. Okay, and for the logical operator and the compound, so normally in some of the case, you have to use a combination. Right? You have the combination between the two or more than condition here. So think about this one here, right? You want to check to get the grade, numeric grade from the end user, and you have to make sure to check that the grade the input grade must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than and equal to 100 here. So basically, you can break it down if and else for this one, or you just combine them together into a single selection here, right? So we see you use a compound logic here, you use the AND logic here, right? Is that good here? Okay, and you learn about the truth table. The truth table, right? So you have the AND logic, you have OR logic, and you have the NOT logic. And that is some of the. And then you have the shortcut every option. Sorry. Okay, and the typing selection. That come over, and we also mentioned about the range. The range is a built-in function in the Python. You do not have to define it. And remember that you have start, stop, and step here. And the stop is only required, but start and the step is optional. Right? So basically, if you do not have start, it always starting from the 0 by the default. And if you do not have the step, it always has the step of 1 by the default. Now we come with the loop. The loop is the repetition statement of loop. Right? It's the repeat action. And each repetition of action is known as pass or iteration here. Okay, so we have the two type loop. You have the definite loop. That means you know for sure how many times the loop will run. That's the definite that iteration. And you have the indefinite iteration perform until program determine it need to stop or not. Okay, so think about normally in the Python to run with the definite iteration, you know for sure how many times you want to run. Normally you use a for here, right? So you have the for, it's the for loop here. Think about it, you know for sure you want to run this for 4 times. So you can see you can put the range 4 here. And range of 4 here. This also, we done everything with this one. And normally for the loop, if you want to maintain the count, you can initialize the count, and for each step, for each iteration, you can increase the count by 1. It's very helpful in the case you want to see how many iteration, or you want to figure out think about average. Right? Okay. Augmented assignment is a shortcut for this one, so we learned it already. Okay, one of the common mistake. What is a common mistake when you do with the range function? Remember that the range function, right? It never ever includes the stop, right? So that's the thing you have to mention for this one. And you can specify the step. It can be 2 or 3 or 5 or -2 or -5, whatever it is.
If you put in range 6 through 1, will it automatically count down?
6 to 1.
Yes. If the start is 6 and the end is 1, will it count down? Or
yes.
You have to put
yes.
It, okay.
So in that case, the step is 1.
Okay.
6 to 1, no. 6 to 1, no, you cannot.
I would have to do a negative.
-1, yeah.
Okay. But it won't do that automatically.
No. 6 to 1, you have nothing for this one.
Okay. If you leave the step positive, it just stops because
it's
already
above,
at 6. It's already above the stop condition.
Okay.
Okay, so we see you can identify the step here, right? And one more thing about the echo input, that means you use the input and you put it in the from output to make it more sense from the output here. Formatting the text and the output, you do with some of the field width here. The field width, for example, for this one, is not look good for me, right? It's for this one, you can justify this one on the left and this one justify it on the right here. So basically, whenever you have negative, you justify it on the left, and the number 3 here is the width of the field, right? Because this one is the width of the field. It is a 12, and if it's a positive, it will justify on the right here. Okay, and for the float type, right, you can determine how many digits in the fractional part you can take, and you have many ways here, right? You have many ways with this one. Okay. Now, the first one is a definite iteration, right? You know for sure how many iterations you want to run. So normally in the Python for the definite loop, you use a for. But in the case of the indefinite loop, normally you use a while loop here, right? And in the while loop, before the loop, you always have the condition to check, and you are the one who control how to terminate the loop, right? So normally, for the while loop, the program got input accept the value until the user enters the sentinel value. The sentinel value is the one that never ever happened in the real life, right? So we can think about this one. And structure, yes, this one here. So we also have the example for this one here, right? So we see this program keeps asking user to enter the number until he enters the enter to stop. Right? So you can think about whenever he enters, that means you have nothing on the input here. It is a stop here. So the condition here is that whenever the data is not equal to the enter, keep doing it, right? Keep doing it. So that is a while loop here. That's a while loop for this one. And you know, okay, so the data here is a loop control variable, right? Such data is the one who controls the loop variable. Now, okay, so the while true loop and the break statement here, that is right. Also, you use a lot for this one here. Okay, so think about it. Normally in the loop, you have the two types of loop. The first one is you have a pre-check loop, right? Pre-check loop, that means in the loop you have the pre-check. That means you only have the condition here to check first. Right? You only have the condition here to check first, and if the condition true, you have something to do with this one. That is pre-check. Pre-check, right? And also you have the post-check also. You have the post-check. That means you just do something. You just do something first. And later on, you can check the condition if it's correct or not. Right? And if it's not correct, it's a terminate here. So in this example, you can think about this kind of the post check here. Whatever I did, you only get the data. You only get the data from the user here. Right? You only get the data from user for this one. You get the data from user for this one here. So this one again, this program is that user you want to find out what the sum of all the number enter from the user until the user press enter here, right? So see, whenever we got the data, you see, why true here? That means keep doing it. Just do it, right? Just do it. You have not checked it here. Now, if the data, now you got the data from the input from user. Right, so we check later on it. That's why they call it the post here, right? You check if the data equal to enter or not, and you use a break here. Break here, that means you exit the loop. You exit the loop. So normally in the Python, if you use a break here, you exit the loop. If not, right? If not enter, you just convert it into the float, and you add it up to the sum. The sum here is the accumulator. Right? So normally, in order to find out the sum, you only have to maintain the accumulator, and you have to initialize the accumulator to 0 before the loop, and at the beginning of the loop for this one here. Okay, so that is the case of the break here. Okay, so this one also, I think, the while true loop is also very useful in the case you want to do with the input validation. Right? So think about if you ask user to enter a grade for one student here, and you know that in order to get the grade of the student, you have to validate it, right? You have to validate it to make sure it is integer format here. The first one, it must be in the integer format, right? And the second one, it must be in the range from the 0 to 100 here, right? 0 to 100 here. So think about this one here. This one actually is not validated for the integer. So for this one, whenever you got the number from the user, you have to check. You have to check if the number greater than 0 and the number less than 100 or not. Right? So if it is correct in the range from the 0 to 100, user exit the loop and keep doing with the processing here. And otherwise, user print out, you have to enter the numeric range in the 0 to 100 here. So this is this one. Where? This one. So this program, right, you just keep doing it. Keep as enter the number here. Keep as you got the number and you convert it into the integer, and you have the step to check here if number in the range from the 0 to 100. If it is in the range, you print out the good input, and please go ahead. That means you can put it A, B, C, or D, or whatever it is. And of course, if it's correct, you just exit the loop here. If not, you have the print out here. So think about this one. If I run with this program, I think you should do that. Save it here. Save it somewhere. So I run this program. So think about if I enter the number 50, it's correct. correct. And you see, you have the break here. That's why you exit the loop, right? And what happens if I run the number, think about one, enter the number -10 here? You see, you have to enter the number integer from the 0 to 100, and it will get again, and it positive it will get again. So that normally you use a while loop here. It's very useful in the case you want to do the input validation. Input validation for this one. Now, see what happened if I run this one here. What happened if I run this one? Now I enter, instead of enter the number 80 now or 40, right? So I put the 40 here. What happened here? What do you think for this one? If I put the 40 here, what happened with this one?
You can't take the string and make it into an int.
Yes, so actually you have the error here, right? You have the syntax error here, and you have the exception here. It is a value error, because the thing is that the function here, the int here, only accept the number format, integer number format. So whenever you use the string here, you got the exception error. For this one, it tells you that it's a value error here, right? So in that case, in order to prevent program from the crashing, you have to use the exception handler. You have to handle the exception here. So that is what we learned for today. So for this one, let's see. Okay, so what is exception? Exception is the error that occur while the program is running. That is exception here. I'll tell you that exception here, right? So usually it causes the program to stop abruptly hard, and you got a crash in the program here, right? So you have to use a trace back. That is the error message that gives the information regarding the line number. You see, it tell you information about this one here, right? What's the line 3? Right? That's exception here. It tells you that you have the error in the line number 3, and what's the error? It's the exception occur here because of the value error, right? So it indicates the type of the exception and give you the brief description of the errors that cause the exception to be raised here, or this one. So of course you can have many exceptions, not only about the value error. You can have many exceptions. You can think about what happens if you have the 2 number and you divide by 0. Also, you have the exception, right? Or you want to open the file, but the file is not exist. Also, that is exception here. Right? So the many exceptions can be prevented by carefully coding. Example, the input validation, or usually involve the simple decisions concept. And even that, you have a very careful blending for the exception handler. You still have some exception. You cannot anticipate for in many programs. You cannot anticipate for all of them, right? So, example, some of the exception cannot be avoided. Think about if you want to open the file and it's not exist here. That's the thing. So now, in order to handle for the exception, you have the exception handler here. That's a code that responds when exception are raised and prevent program from crashing. Here. So in the Python, in order to do with the exception handler, you use the code here, try and except here. So it's a general format. You have a try. Just try to do it. But if something happened, right? It will go with the except here, right? The try switch here is statement that can potentially raise an exception, and the handler statement contained in the except block. So basically, for this one, you break it down, right? You break it down in the try here. You have the try. You have the try here. You have the try. Just keep doing it, right? But what if happen with this one? It go to the except here. You go with the except here, and except here is the one who handle for anything that's going wrong with this program. Now we come back with this program, right? We come back with our program here. So now we come back with this program, right? So see, you got this program, right? You got the the exception here, right? So you can try to work with the exception handler by using the syntax here. You see, you have to try here. So you can modify this program. You can modify this program by this one here, right? Now let's try it first, right? Just try it first, and of course you have to indent here. You have to indent here. Okay, so now I just try it, right? Let's try this one. Now we have to accept. And what is accept here? What's accept? You remember that accept here is a value variable, right? So it's a value variable here. So you see, you have the subtraction here. You have the value variable, and sorry, is that scale? Is that free now something? This one.
Should the print. Yeah. That,
Yes. You have enter is a number, right? So this one. Okay, so see what happened now if I run it again, right? When I run it again, I put the 40 here. Okay, you are able to catch it, right? You are able to catch it, and you got the crashing from program, right? So that is a error handler here. Now think about this one. You have many error exception for this one. Right? So think about if you want to divide the number by 0, so you have the exception for this one. Now see by this one, right? So think so that's the exception here. Let me open this one. Okay, so think about this one also, right? Now for this program, right? I want to get the two number from end user. I want to get the two number from end user, and I want to find out what is a division. I take the number 1, I divide by number 2, and I got the division from the two number. Of course, for this one you have many exceptions with this one, right? The first thing is that what happens if the number is not in the number format, right? So for this one, I only have okay, right? So I will catch the exception with the value variable here. So see if I end this program. When this one. So if I think about I put the 40 here, right? You must enter the valid number format. But the problem with this one is that it exits the program. It's not good, right? I want to come back. I want to come back to force the user to do it again. Give him another chance to do it. So basically, in the Python, if you want to do it, if you want to come back from the loop, you use the continue, right? You use the continue for this one. So think about this one. If you want to you value here, you use the continue. See, you have to continue for this one. Now, what happens if I run it again? I put the 40 for this one. Okay, so see, if you understand that you have to enter it again, you must enter the value format. So basically, in the case of the while true, and when you handle for the exception, you have to use the break and the continue, totally flexible with the program, right? So whenever you want to exit from the loop, you use the break, and whenever you want to force user to come back to do it again, you use the continue. That's all. That in the Python. So basically, in the program, you might have the more than one exception, right? So think about this one here. What happens if I run it again? What happens if I sorry. All right, I run it again. What happens if I have that number 40 here, but the second one I have 0? Again, I have exception here. right? You see, interception here is a zero division error. You have the zero division. So how we correct this program in order to avoid this crashing here? So what do you think?
Have another except for zero division error.
Yeah, right. That's all, right? So basically, you just need to another exception for this one. You have to you have to define another exception for this one here. So you have one more exception for this one. You just copy for this one. But this one is the exception here is zero, right? You have the zero and division error here. You cannot divide by zero. That's all. Okay. Now we run it again. And you have the 40 here. And you have number 0 here. You cannot, and you have to continue here that give the user another chance to enter by coming back from the loop one more time, to do the loop one more time. So basically for the exception here, right? You have exception here. So with exception, if no exception is raised, handler is a key. That means you do not have to execute anything in the handler, and it can handle for multiple exceptions. That is what we do with this example here. And of course, you can use one except clause to catch all exception. But in that case, it's not really clear by which error it is. Right? So we see for this one, you can modify this program here. For this one, you can modify this one. I do not anything with this one. Oh, all right. I just accept it. So you can think you can print out something wrong, right? Okay. And you can catch you can catch all of the exceptions for this one. But you see that it only gives you the general information. So it should be better. You have to break it down with the detail. What's the error it is, right? So for this one also, you can run it also. You can keep the program run this thing. Program run. The thing about had the 40 for this one. Then it not tell you what is the error. What is the error for this one here, right? Or I put 40 here and then 0 here, the same. Something wrong. That is very, very general information, and it's not going to detail what's going wrong with this program.
Could you have the value exception and the divide by zero exception and then the general catch-all exception at the bottom? So that way.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, yes, you can.
So you can't
so
go-
normally this one is that you try to anticipate all of the exception, right?
And
But
you
in that
handle
one,
everything
yeah, for something you cannot anticipate it. You cannot. Yeah, you can do this.
So you only put that at the end because, well, something went wrong and you weren't anticipating it when you were writing the program.
Okay, yeah, right. And if that one is the last one. Okay. And what else? Okay, so one more thing is that to remember that you try to use the break to exit the loop and to continue to go back to the beginning of the loop. Right? So it's very helpful in the case you use the input validation. Right? Very helpful. Now we have the random number, right? The random number is a programming language, includes the resource to generating the random number. So the random module supports several ways to do this. So remember that all of the random function is stored in the random module. So in order to use any function, any built-in function, the first step you have to import the module here, right? So import the module, and they are stored in the random module. That's why you have to input here. And one of the built-in function it is a random and rand in here, right? In that it generates the random integer number and generate the random integer number. And remember that in the case of the random integer number, it includes both of the start and stop. It's not with the same string, right? So think about if you want to generate the random integer number from 1 to 6 here, it will generate the random number from the 1 to 6 and includes the number 6 also. It's not includes from this one. That's why you have to remember the difference between the range in and the range function. So here is the example, right? It's a very simple program here, a simple guessing game asks user to enter small and large integer number. And this game lets user to keep guessing until they guess correctly number. I think about the first step here, you have to import the random because you want to use the rand in function, right? Now you ask the user that enter the small number, enter the large number, right? And generate the random number. And now do the loop, right? Do the loop. So each time if the number is less than the number, if his guessing number is less than, you print out too small. If greater than, you have too large, and otherwise user print out that concrete solution. You get this correctly. Right? So think about this one here. Think about this program. For this program, I don't know what to say. So if I enter the number 20, right, and I enter the number 40, so this program will generate the random number, integer number from the 20 to 40. So what do you think? What is the guess here?
25?
Yeah. Any other idea?
31.
Yeah. Actually, you have to figure out the better word to use this one. How to minimize number of guessing? What do you think? How to minimize the number of guessing? Yeah, exactly the half, right? So we think about this one here. Basically, for this guessing game here, normally you have the range, right? You only have the range here from the minimum to the maximum. So always the first step, you have to break it down the half. You see, and they tell you this one is too small or too large, right? And if it's too small, you know that this one we have to work with this one, right? And again, you break it to half and so on. Keep doing it. So that normally is the better way to do this one. Or you can run this one. You can run this one with the let's see, run this one with it here. So see what is 20 here, yeah, 40 here. So what's the random number? Okay, this one, right? The random number here. Oh, exactly 30. This one is okay. Yeah, it worked very good.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit awkward.
Yeah, yeah. So basically,
Well,
if
30,
you guessing the 30,
what?
that you got it.
You got it in one. Congratulations.
Now, so this is a program, right? It's a very, very simple program. Now, what happened if I want to allow the user that he only has the 3 guessing of it. If more than 3 guessing, you have to terminate it. You cannot let him guessing for many times. So what happened? So what do you have to do with this program? What do you think? You only allow the user to guess for 3 times only. What do you think?
We have that count, so if we put a condition that it's greater than 3.
Yeah, just
Break
LF
it.
count equals,
Yes, right? Count it to 3 because see, you maintain the count here, right?
if count is greater than 3, break.
Yeah, right.
Print, you run out of tries.
Okay, so actually you have to print before you break.
Oh.
Yeah.
Print, then break.
Yeah,
Okay, because if you break, then the program just stops for it.
yeah, before the print. Yeah, right.
Good to know.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you for clarifying that, because
Okay.
I would have screwed up
So
something.
basically, yeah, right. So basically for this one is that you have the if, right? You have to check here if count equal to number 3 here, right? So you can you have the print. You are run out of time. And you can break it here, right? You can break it. Why? Let's see, indent. I had to put it here. No, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is it?
What
Is it
happened?
because one of them isn't converted?
Because you already have an else. That else should be L if.
No, L of this one, right? L of this one. And this one is another if here. They are not the same.
Is my number gonna be?
What
It should. It's just saying, one of it was inconsistent, so
Which one? Because
probably it's my number. I don't know. That's weird,
yeah.
Hey, Brian.
because that should work. I don't know why.
Yeah.
LF is
Let's see, what is it? Indent.
I don't think that's,
Doesn't match any other indent. What?
I don't think that's,
That indent here, you tell me. the
Yeah.
indent.
that should be fine.
What?
Too small.
Okay, let me see. I think I don't have this part here. Very good for me. Why have this one? Anyway, that is the logic, right? So why don't we have the count on activity? Why this one? Let's see. Why we have this one?
You know, if you have to force, my number to be an int, just to make it.
What?
Do you know if you have to change? Oh, what?
Sorry. Wonderful. I just got a text.
Do you know if my number has to be forced into an int? Because it was saying, the LF was saying, the condition was that it was inconsistent variable or something like that.
Oh,
I think if you highlight over to the LF, I think it was saying something about inconsistent variable.
this one?
Yeah.
This one? No. Oh, yeah. So why is it not highlighted, right?
Yeah.
But it looked exactly the same here. Right, wait a minute, see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that. It's,
Oh, you work, okay. I don't know.
Maybe try manually saving it, maybe that'll make it.
Yeah, I think it should be, I copied and.
I've had Visual Studio Code do weird stuff like that. to me.
Yeah, I work sometimes.
You ever handle paths? in Python? Paths?
No. See again, I don't know what happened with it. Anyway, that is logic. I don't want to spend time with this one. Sometimes it's very weird with it. Now you have the loop, logic error, and the testing error to rule out during the testing. A while loop, incorrect initially loop a control variable. That is something it's very important with this one, right? So basically, for the while loop, you need to condition to check it before you do, right? So before the while loop here, before to do the condition here, normally you have to get the initial you have to get the initial value before you go with the loop. And that's what you remind you about the SDEV 120 when you learn about the prime inputs. So every loop before with the loop, you need to get the prom input. The prom input is the initial value. That in order to get that with the loop, right? So think about. No, it's not this one. Let me go back to the if I have any examples. This one. Why? Okay, this one here. You can think about this one, right? So if you look on this program, you can think the data here is the prom input, right? And you need to get it before the loop, right? Because the condition to check the loop here is the data here, right? You need to get the value data. That's why you need to get the prom input, the data here, before the loop and outside the loop. And the purpose of the prom input here is to get ready for the loop. Otherwise, you've got the syntax error here, right? Because if you delete this line here, the program got the syntax error because it not understand what the data is. All right, that's the point. Some of the common mistakes when you work with the loop. Okay, and a failure to update the variable correctly within the loop. The thing about if you want to print out the 100 times and you maintain the count, right? So each iteration of the loop, you have to increase the count by 1, right? Or you fail to test it correctly, continuation condition here, and sometimes even that you plan it correctly, but sometimes you have the endless loop, right? In order to stop the endless loop, from the executing forever, you can try the control and see here in the idle, right? And if loop must run at least one, is a while loop here. You can think about that. It's a post-stack loop, right? The post-stack loop. If you need to at least once, you will while loop. And sure to use a break statement to stop the loop. So basically, you have to flexible using the break and the continue with the program. So I think that's all for this chapter here. I don't know why this is a short chapter, but they plan it for the 2 weeks. Too many to have a huge time with this one. I don't have anything to mention here anymore. I try to integrate everything on this one. So yeah, again the same with the policy here. So when you're done with the lecture, time for you to work with the homework and the workshop, whatever you need. And for the next week, you do not have to go to the class, and you do not have to join the meeting, join Zoom meeting. But I'll be here on the class and I'll be here on the Zoom meeting. And if you need any help from me for the homework and anything in the class, just let me know. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. So for guys online, do you have any question?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, thank you. So I see you on
2 minutes.
attendance, yes, right.
3, 4.
Hunter, are you here?
Yep.
Daniel, are you here?
Here.
Noah, are you here?
Yep.
From here, down here. Adam, are you here? You're here, right? Scott, are you here?
Yes.
Good, are you here?
Yep.
Okay. No, see you guys. Bye-bye.
Text files are one configure.
And I upload my slide into the announcement for the reference. If you want to know.
Gotcha. I'll get to the device, hit it for, take the list, send the command, and move on to the next. I'm having issues connecting through the terminal server, but console server, but it worked fine on my Linux computer, but because Linux uses /.
I don't know for reason in
And
the other room. At that one, when I work with the PowerPoint, the screen is very weird. I cannot control it.
yeah, it's just the thing that PowerPoint moves the screen around, doesn't it? Isn't that normal? Pretty normal?
It's
I don't
very weird.
understand.
Sometimes I cannot control it. I cannot move the slide in the screen. It's very abnormal to me.
Okay, we'll look at it.
And so I checked for this one. Basically, when I display that thing here, I will have a 2 screen. But on this graph, when I check with the display here, they have the three screen.
2176 and 2378 are set up differently. Since their second monitor is 4:3 aspect ratio, it has to be separate. Because these are 16:9, and these are widescreen, and the other ones are square.
So can, I don't know, maybe this time they have the class running on, but can you come back to me, around 11 to have me to set it up?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. We have frustrating me sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. I try to move around with the screen, but
We've tried fixing the displays constantly.
And we even have a thing that fixes them automatically, but
Or
Windows,
should.
with the way the Windows handles displays and all the crazy setup that we have in this room, it's just a little hard to manage.
It probably doesn't help that we're also dealing with pre-made, like setup, like display settings that they, or display tools that they gave us.
No, we can, yeah, we can look at it. Yeah. So anyway, the backslash in Python is an escape character. So you have to do C:\\\, but you have to escape the escape character. And it just isn't like it, but it works fine. I use my other Python script that I've written in Windows. It works fine. And but this one is struggling. But here's the other funny thing, when I do that connect, I have to, I tried an idle or I tried in the interpreter, fine, and I tried in the loop, and it doesn't work. So moving along though, the base code is there.
So what's your thinking on?
Gonna be in the lab resources share. Your folder on the lab resources share.
So how is it?
What do you mean, how's it going? They'll go to the lab resources share. They'll click on, it'll be read only. They can, but you'll have the config files that you can put in there. It will, Python script will run. It will read from the config files, and then it will apply them to SSH. You need to, yes. So what you have to do, you have to have three things beforehand. You have to have it bypassed. You have to have it clear. You have to have bypassed the initial configuration dialog. And you don't have to be a user exec, but you can be a user exec. So they just need to wipe their devices and get them past that to the prompt. The problem is the script is in the downloads folder of that PC. So I can't show it to you right now.
That one?
Yeah. I was trying because I needed to run it in a path that wasn't in my redirected folders. So
I'm trying to think.
maybe it would like you and see.
You're gonna pass a lot of.
What do you mean?
Honestly, just copy and paste the entire thing.
NetMiko, in theory, has provisions to validate it. In theory, the way it's, Paramiko is like a lower level SSH that NetMiko is built on top of. You connect to a NetMiko.
If we have. new- Files are already there. All we have to do is log in and set that to the start or copy
Happy to run.
list.
That's harder. Let's try my way first and see if it works reliably.
Wouldn't that be harder?
Because then I have to set up TFT. I'm not gonna put them on there manually. The whole thing, the whole idea is for it to be reliable. But then how do you?
No. It would be on each device already.
Yeah, but that means we have to put it on there.
I get,
And if we can't, if they're on the network, that means we have to export them on.
no, we quickly brought in a config that will have it, maybe put it on PC one of each one.
Well.
I mean, first,
I know you worked on it. What have you come up with so far?
so far, I have fixed my previous labs up to lab 12
What do you mean fixed?
for the new networks and everything.
Well, that we're changing on the next semester.
Tired of that.
No.
I have never taught the same class. Not once. It should be easier than this.
All right, let me submit the correct files and models.
Hello?
I'm trying to assign that you want me to try. I'm trying to assign that you want me to try.
Sign. Oh, finally.
I already come up with a solution. If it was.
I was like, we go over to maybe 4 weeks. I feel like I slept 2 hours.
Oh my.
Probably was.
Yeah, sorry, but we all, you redirect folders. I know you have them now, but if you log off, you look back in, we won't. I solved it later. Right. Do that.
Of this one, module 3.
So I am gonna solve it. I'm gonna make it a list. And then I'm gonna find the nice number in the list, and do it in the ring, have a decrement. But the value is back into the list. Correct?
Okay.
That you. Oh, I have a pretty list.
They've been varied. And what is that?
The standard view. And then.
What?
Is he doing the reverse?
Yes, that's apparently I'm coming up with a different using the unqualified. So.
You're.
And then I'm gonna find the. I'm gonna iterate through the list backwards.
Nice, okay.
And then append it back into the string.
I like reline, that's it. Aside from like the for loop itself, it's like reline. It's
Oh, it should be that way. Okay, guys, I need help.
I can't help you, I'm too dumb. What's that?
He's in a 2-week vacation going around the southeast.
And count starting at 0. The way I'm trying to get this average.
Let's go around. And they need to.
I'm trying to get the average in at one. So you go with it. You divide it. There's their simple way.
Okay, yeah, I think that yeah, so you know that to do that. So each iteration, you have to
And
Yeah, that was, I had count +1 that didn't do anything, it left it at count 0. I just need to know what do I do?
Did you
to
do-
add 1 every time?
Did you do
I don't do
plus
equal.
Yeah,
Count
that's how
plus
it works.
equal 1.
yeah, yes. Or if you do not, I mean, this one, you put cow equal to cow plus one. Equal to zero.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, count, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so actually,
That might
that
work.
is a shortcut.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same, it's the same.
No, I need after. Because. You find the number of objects.
Cool, thank you, Jim.
But remember, a lot of fish will be the length where.
But it's measuring it for lists. So think about your 2-week trip that you're going on eating food without us. Without us. Right, so you have to go down south and eat barbecue.
You realize that's the goal I want, but not the goal of the family. Which
Yeah, the goal of the week is it what? Christian.
some
Certain
random
things.
Christians are like, I don't care. They're like, look at this amazing building, it's like, it's a building, I don't care.
And 0.
Oh, that's the thing. Input don't lane. I thought you always have to do lane and then put input inside. It was always here.
Right now, I'm there.
It's. Python's length it's ln, len, and then parentheses, but you have to put the input inside the len.
Oh,
I don't, it's its own function. No. You do pack, unpack,
yeah, equals.
you want to put unpack inside the len.
Oh,
So I have no idea if it's like that. You have a function. If you have a function and a variable, is it gonna?
that
It
works.
accepts it? Are you kidding?
Yeah, you do that.
What?
For
I thought you had to
I,
freak out. Okay.
let's
He
just
loves
see.
those variables be.
Exactly the same as the functions.
Stop it. Mean. What do you mean? Okay,
Bro, that's not conventional.
enter a sentence. Dirty is a traitor.
Fine. Hey, look at that. It's because you
But
did,
now, no, I need to do,
you just do print and,
so, okay, so, yeah. print.
plus and equals.
No, you want your unpacked. bracket.
Yeah, I know.
It's not getting me nice.
Sure. No, and I'm not printing it either. Back to a variable.
That's one thing Jerry did.
No, wait, no.
I don't even know what it is. This done, and first and oh, right, that's what I did.
After I finish this, I want to see your sleep.
I don't have snow slipping out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, joy.
But I do love how we all very different. And they work.
Oh.
Well, you're getting there. Gotta do one more, remember? For your range.
He was out of range, so I decremented length by 1. Because length, you need to subtract 1. So because I let the numbers start at 0. I'm gonna need that.
So 0 to negative.
There's unpacked. See what that is. Just go. Good. Move back, but it's weird. I'm not gonna wait.
Because you started at the big lesson.
There you go. 8:39. Thankful it was only.
Yeah, you have to have one body.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
This is probably better than
40, what was this?
3. Programming assignment 1. And just if you would ask. IT to give it the keys for the lab tape.
That's all my.
Sentence. Put sentence overlays and delivered to your. That's smart.
I liked it too.
Hey, look, you're trying to turn right. I like that.
Just takes the left or rightmost character and then takes that off and loops again and it just keeps it pen without any spaces.
That's smart.
You know, it's-
Like software, gives you tips and tricks.
So.
Why don't you get those?
You mean hit an enter?
Yeah.
Well,
It just runs off.
because I write it in Notepad.
Oh,
And usually, like this is.
Oh, this-
Usually in the tab, so I see it.
here's.
Similar. Yeah, I like what you did too, but I don't like how you had to like fudge with the ranges and stuff. I don't know why.
Maybe.
So,
But no, I know, yeah, because remember, if you, the number of the length counts from one, but the length, but this counts starting from 0 or counts to, no, but this counts from 1.
So it should be like
Objects in
plus
this
one.
count from 0.
Right. Right.
by the way, there's another way of
I guess, no, I can't do it because it's.
I'm sure there's a lot of ways.
but this is,
Really steer.
this is absolute. There's two methods I just found. I
Oh
don't,
my gosh, you're over.
I know. So this is the normal way. But it turns out-
Diverse plus the mobile.
So I go all the way to the back and then, but it turns out strings are counted as the. So as long as you have like a whole variable, you can just flip it back and forth. Makes no sense to me, but. Like,
You have like more elegance.
dang, okay, wait, it's not. Oh, I
Probably
forgot
'cause you
to
had
define
some-
it.
Is it printed twice during?
Because I have reverse two.
Shoot.
It's the second method.
Oh, okay. Your exposure, your solutions are more elegant.
It's just smaller and I mashed faster. That's it. I just got to the keyboard faster. Not that it's accurate.
So Wes, do you have my fireworks? Did you get them?
Nope. I'm good too. Just on the page.
Well, maybe it's when we'll end early then.
But I did check. He's in New Jersey.
Let's see.
I like the way you did it.
It's very nice. Both of your solutions are much more elegant than mine.
Mine is basically how Excel would do it.
Took an Excel class in high school. I just remember what I need to do. Which is the case with a lot of things I do, like, stuff I never really have making sure until it becomes an issue. So I don't remember if I had to do it, I could probably remember. Like watching it go through the different states coming up. But troubleshooting based on cost.
You should see what I do for a couple of points. Where I have built-in loops.
Show me something.
Here's some game rings around counties. They're redundant. You have to have a connection in both of them, which creates loop, so it gets shut down. So then I have to set,
So if you
change my spanning tree so that I can use one ring for one set of traffic, another ring for another set of traffic.
bring, just say bring.
Huh?
Green, you say
Green.
green. That's smart. You just said which, so by ring, you mean you have 2 links going from each site to each other site.
Well, so I told you about the little white switches that are magic.
So
white Yeah.
switches that are magic.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
2960X, 8X.
Give me this one.
Confused. I haven't figured that.
3.10. And if we're trying to figure out how to make it print out, I think I got everything else right. I'm gonna try and figure out how do I get it to start.
So
spinning
each one of
out
those
this,
is switch. Right?
Cause I'm pretty sure I could just do the count.
Created one?
Yeah, I was trying to make it print out this.
Okay.
We got an outer.
This one, for this one. I have to use the timer. I thought you have to use the tab here.
Do those
Each
2 rings
side.
connect to each
Okay,
other?
so I have to.
Larger switch.
Okay, let's start off with.
One, yeah, yeah.
One.
These are stacked,
Okay.
so it's one switch.
Okay, I have to make the 2 rings.
So
The
logically,
rings themselves are stacked.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I made it.
Yeah.
One
Okay.
switch. And this is
Oh,
one.
I see.
A little bit. Okay. So then I'm going to.
No, but for this one, you cannot put
either
inside the
build
loop.
right.
Otherwise, you can hear. This one.
So where do the ring switches point out?
Right?
Is there-
On the ring for the,
switches?
for the header here. You have.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah,
Right.
for the loop.
Yeah, you have some buildings.
Thank you.
There you
So each site has an inner ring and an outer ring switch
go.
that connects to their distribution access layer, right?
Very, not very equal.
And then,
So
so
what do you use the different rings for?
one's for when both are up.
I think this one.
One ring is for user traffic, and the other ring.
I tried copying and pasting.
Okay.
And these
One
things
has the stack and.
stack over time.
Okay, so the servers
no,
don't
no.
connect directly to the ring switches?
They can, they have their own, there's a server switch that they can.
So do the server switches only connect, well, all switches connect to each ring switch, correct?
The MDF core and actually, so I've got a.
Yeah, it has a slide.
One core switch, I have a server switch, and then at each of them, I also have a access switch.
So you can set, you have all, basically, to simplify it, all VLANs are allowed to pass on either of the rings. But you let the server VLANs be,
I
be the, what do they call it now? Term, you let you let the inner ring switches, wait, inner rings are server, right?
Mhm.
So you let the inner ring switches be the, whatever the primary thing is, it's yes, root bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, so you mess with the cost.
Mhm.
Say I prefer the outer ring or data traffic, inner ring, say at the server traffic. That way,
Do you mess with the root bridge election with priorities anyway? Or if no, you don't because they're stacked. So you should.
yeah, this is a switch. So, but yeah, no, So it doesn't really matter which one, the server switch is either here, or I can make this through, or it doesn't matter, just. Path to get through. I prefer to be there, enter, say,
Now, are the ring switches, the inner ring and the outer ring switches, are they different models or are they all the same models? Or,
the ring switches, they're all the same.
Okay. Then why do you necessarily prefer one ring or the other for server traffic? Why can't you just let it figure itself out as, I guess? What's the benefit?
If I don't manipulate it,
Mhm.
it's going to put all the traffic over one ring.
Really?
And the other ring is gonna be unutilized until there's a failure.
Okay, T4.
We're gonna
That's
say,
why you-
let's saturate one ring until it craps
Yeah,
out,
and
and then we'll
two
go over
more.
it and we'll saturate the other ring and crap it. So, I don't know, it's
So you see.
technically a 40 gig ring
Mhm.
and then not 40.
Okay, so shrink it down and use it
So-
T.
So logically, you just have inner ring, outer ring. Switch. Because they're different. You put in 9,500.
So the starting balance is all one.
Oh,
one part of it.
Catalyst 9,000 stuff with this yet.
And these are, it's
Yeah.
not a huge
Then you
location, but
want
they're
to have
just
one, two,
Mm.
as you left with two.
with advantage for the
Mhm.
core distribution and 9200
I did
essentials.
figure out why WinTech put in switches, did Q and Q.
Wrong flag.
They want to monitor the link for LSC, so they can find a downtime and maybe possibly correct it before LSC would be allowed. That's what Steve said their reasoning was. But on the data center and on the core switch end, I think it's stupid. I think it's probably more network resources. Definitely is more network resources on their end because on the core switch end, it's all individual links. So that means they have to have a big switch on one end. But also, do you remember me telling you about that Greater Lafayette Career Academy site that had the one link, the Metronet link? So I found out that they've now changed that to a WinTech link and ditched the Metronet link. So they already have the second link in there. It went from one to one.
Now it's kind of interesting. I'm doing this, I'm working towards this on two different
Is that,
locations.
is that that
and
PD, is
trying
that that Visio PDF you showed me? Wow,
to
back.
possible. But yeah,
You ever want to sanitize the config and show me those?
and then
Is spanning tree left unconfigured on each of the branch switches, or do you have the priorities? Remind me, root bridge election, is the priority lower, more preferred?
yes,
Okay, so do you leave the priorities high and keep the priority low on the ring switches so that the ring switches are always in the bridge?
no, I haven't made them.
You don't care what the
I
root
make,
bridge is
I usually core switches root for
or whatever their
either
VLANs are.
But
So why do you need to necessarily do this at layer 2? Why can't you do
layer
something? If each site has its own VLANs, or does a data center VLAN need to cancel out?
Because I've got HSRP set up on our 2 core switches. That way, if I have to upgrade this core switch, everything, including all of the IDFs, also have a backup connection into the MDF access switch that will then run over to our HSRP backup core.
Very smart. I like that. That's smart. Elegant too. It's real. Is this the one that had 2 separate ISPs that you couldn't stack the switches between the sites because they had 2 separate ISPs and you had to do HSRPs? That may have been something.
Well, each of them,
I remember you telling me that a while back that you couldn't stack the cores because you did HSRP because they had different ISP each site.
yeah. This has been a project that's been January. So right now we're at the point where it's like, I need to install the true MDF core at the old location. 15 minutes.
But they can't take 15 minutes of that.
Yeah. Would you do it at 4 AM?
Hey, Chris.
Would you like it to be 3 hours of outage? Because that's when it'll be at 4 AM.
Right.
Because if you make me wake up at 4,
Yeah.
it's going to be 3 hours before I'm able to freaking help. And then it'll be 15 minutes of outage. Like, come on. Guys, you guys have had issues before. From your wrapping out and stuff like that. Those are unplanned. I get that. But you beat it through them. I'm asking for a smaller one than that to fix a major issue. No.
You done any testing with the Sonic wall yet? Can I take it out yet? I still need to disable the SN built-in.